Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 5. I'm your host. I hope that you guys enjoyed the last episode with my first guest, Rookie. Thank you again, Rookie, if you're listening to this episode. I've really enjoyed the episode chatting with you. If you haven't listened to it, we talked about Rookie's perspective on women working in the workforce, my personal financial story, and some of the future effects that AI will have, not only, you know, with helping you write your resume, but also filtering out your resume on the recruiter side. So found that pretty fascinating. Again, if you haven't listened to that, I'll put that link in the description below. I do have a special episode for you guys today. No, it's not a special guest. It's just me, but special topic, highly requested topic, as you guys have probably seen in the comments if you follow me on Instagram. Um, Today's topic is contrast therapy. You guys probably saw it in the caption or the title of the video. But yes, so today's topic is a highly requested topic, contrast therapy. So I want to just jump in, kind of tell you guys what contrast therapy is and my personal story about it, or my personal story of how I got into it, and some research and science-backed benefits in terms of why contrast therapy is beneficial to your health and wellness. So as I mentioned, just to start off, so contrast therapy is simply a form of therapy where you're alternating between hot and cold temperatures. So there's really only two ways you can do this. It's with water and air. So you can do it with hot water, cold water, or hot air like a sauna, and cold air like cryotherapy. Um, I'm going to break down, some simple ways in terms of how you can do this at home. Um, but I'll do that right after I jump into my story in terms of how I got into it. So I've talked to you guys a lot about my chronic pain and how that's had an impact. And that's, really how, that's really what ended up pushing me into doing contrast therapy. Um, I didn't really know what it was in college. Excuse me. Essentially, I was doing a lot of cold showers with my roommates. And if you live down in Florida, showers are just not as cold as up north. Or if you live in the South in general, showers are just not as cold as up north. Something that I found out. But that's what I started doing freshman year. I would just do cold showers. It might have been before freshman year, but not a ton. I would do it infrequently. Essentially, I started doing cold showers is really how I started. And you can obviously, make it cold and hot, and I'll jump into that in a little bit, but that's how I got started. So that's, I would say, freshman year, right around then is right when I started, as I mentioned. And then I saw some of my friends and professional athletes start to do ice baths. And this was before they really became popular in the past like 4 or 5 years. I'd say this is like 2018. So about 7 years ago, I kind of was introduced to all this. And that was right around the time when I got injured. So I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff, pretty cool. So fasting forward a little bit after college, I didn't end up doing my first ice bath, I don't think, until I was out of college. Um, yeah, if I remember correct, it wasn't until after I was out of college. And it changed my life. I swear to God. Um, so let me kind of pick that apart. So I did my first ice bath at my one of my apartments down in Florida when I was in school still, getting my MBA at Florida Atlantic. Yeah, I mean, not to brag, I guess I did get my MBA at Florida Atlantic. So yeah, snuck that in there. But that's when I started doing ice baths. So I had an apartment. I just got some ice from Publix, brought it home, hopped in the water, made it happen. More like a mind over matter thing. Um, and then at that same apartment, I also began doing the steam room. We had a steam room at our complex. So I would do the steam room, and then occasionally I jump in the pool, which wasn't always cold, but that's kind of how I, began doing it. There were times where I would go from my ice bath down into the steam room, and basically I would start with the ice bath and then usually just go down to the steam room. And sometimes I would come back up and hop back in ice bath. Typically, I like ending on cold for metabolic reasons. So I'll jump into that in a little bit. Um, so fasting forward, you know, I got a or I was looking for work at the time because I got surgery, and after surgery, I ended up stepping away from my last position. So I was looking for a new job. So I was looking at different jobs, and I found a place that did cryotherapy. And if you're not familiar with cryotherapy, cryotherapy is simply a giant freezer that you go into for about 3 minutes. So it's like a modern day ice bath, and gives you very similar results in terms of how you feel and some of the neurotransmitters that are released in the cryotherapy. Um, so I'm not sure if you can hear the people outside, but there are some people working. So they're just outside the window talking. So, or having a conversation, a little um, yelling, it sounds like. But going back to contrast therapy. So that's really kind of where I was introduced to it. Basically, at work, I saw that you can do hot and cold, or I'm sorry, I was introduced to it at my apartment complex, which kind of attracted me to work at the place that I was at. And again, I did it for pain management, but then also I haven't talked about this a lot. I The second reason that or that I started contrast therapy was for metabolic reasons. I wanted to heal my metabolism. Part of it was that I recognized my metabolism was a little bit out of whack. Um, a component of it was, what I was eating and my lifestyle, but I recognized that there are different tools that, like contrast therapy, where you can help work there's different tools that can help you heal different things. In this case, being your metabolism. So I was able to add that skill to my toolbox. So this is me adding, hopefully, providing you with that tool. So if you ever have any of these issues that I'll talk about, or run into any thing that may affect your health, or just overall health and wellness, you want to give it a try. So this is me sharing a tool. So hopefully the tool helps. In saying that, I want to transition into a different topic. So I'm not telling you, or I'm not here to advocate, oh, you should go buy a cold plunge or go buy a sauna or go buy all these different health um, biohacker tools. Like, no, you don't have to do that. Sure, there's tools that can help. I'm very grateful that the place that I'm at offers them, and then I'm able to take advantage of them. But you can do this stuff at home. And when I'm visiting family, friends, here are the tools out here. Here is the tool that I use at home. And everyone has it in their house, most likely. A shower. You can simply do contrast therapy by alternating between hot and cold temperatures in your shower. Essentially, I mean, you want to be careful with it. But as I mentioned, down in Florida, like you don't want to overdo it, is what I'm saying. When I say be careful, you essentially are, you can start on hot or cold. I typically like recommending, or I typically like ending for myself on cold. Not always enjoyable, but the effect that you feel after, your body's decreasing the cortisol and increasing the dopamine. So you come out of there feeling like you could run a marathon. Um, and again, this goes with both forms of contrast therapy, I'm sorry, this goes with cold therapies kind of specifically. When you end with cold therapy, you are increasing the dopamine release in your brain from dopamine's a neurotransmitter. So you're releasing that neurotransmitter and decreasing cortisol. So essentially, what I'm saying is that you can do this at home for free of charge. It's not like you have to pay a ton of money, go buy a package or sign up anywhere. You can do this at home. And this is what I do when I travel and visit family or go see friends. I literally just do, I typically start with cold, then go to like a normal shower, then maybe warm it up a little bit, and then I end on cold. And that, for me, it works really effectively in terms of managing my pain, boosting my mood. And here's where I'm going to get into some of the benefits of contrast therapy. So, number one, you can probably tell that if you've ever done a cold shower or a cold ice bath or anything like that, it's going to have an effect on your mental clarity and your energy. So I'm going to look to the side here. I have a little bit of notes just to make sure that I'm providing you guys with all the information I wanted to provide you. So if you see me glance to the side, I'm not ignoring you, just trying to help provide you guys with the best information. So contrast therapy, specifically cold therapy, is going to release a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine, which essentially is going to help you, or it's going to make you feel alert. So you're going to be alert, you're going to feel aware, energized. And that's one of the main effects that you'll feel right after any sort of cold therapy. You're going to be woken up. So um, basically, because you're shocking your body, and your body's, what the heck? We got to keep itself at, your body wants to stay at a certain temperature, right around 98 degrees. So if you're putting cold water on it or hot water, your body's basically trying to fight to rebalance at this 98 degrees. So mental clarity, energy is one benefit that you'll feel from contrast therapy. And again, that's not just cold therapy, alternating between the two of them. I typically, I'll get into that in a little bit in terms of how frequently or how many times I kind of alternate. So yeah, number one benefit, mental clarity. Next benefit is going to be sleep quality. So contrast therapy, particularly the cold therapy, again, has been shown to boost melatonin levels and lower cortisol. So essentially, while you're in the cryotherapy, your body's releasing all these different hormones. You're putting your body into this state of fight or flight that we'll get into in a little bit more about what that is and how that works. But you'll get a little bit more of an understanding when I get to that. But just know that it can have an effect in terms of your sleep, basically providing you with falling asleep quicker, your sleep latency, the deeper sleep. So you're going to, sleep a little bit deeper because your body's, again, reoxygenating or being reoxygenated and helping with circulation. So it's going to be able to get a little bit of a deeper sleep and kind of just help you sleep deeper, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so number two benefit is sleep quality and duration. Number three, fat and metabolism loss, or fat loss and metabolism. So contrast therapy activates brown adipose tissue. Essentially, it's going to increase energy and expenditure by helping you burn this brown fat through a process that's called thermogenesis. So what I'm saying here is essentially when you're in cold water or cold air, your body is going to burn brown fat as the energy used to heat itself back up. And brown fat is fat that you typically don't want. So it's burning the fat that you don't want during this process of cold, again, predominantly cold therapy is when you're going to be burning this brown fat. But again, alternating between the two is also going to help you burn this fat and kind of, again, shock your body. I'm trying to start with the cold benefits and then the warm benefits and then kind of combine them. So that's kind of why we're starting with the cold. Next is mental health and awareness and kind of like cognitive function. Basically, it kind of goes along with the first one, but this is going to be more correlated to stress, anxiety, and depression. Essentially, alternating between the two of these therapies, hot therapy and cold therapy, is going to it's going to stimulate the vagus nerve, activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Essentially, it's going to help you reduce anxiety through this process because when the parasympathetic nervous system is activated, that is going to help you, or when the vagus nerve is activated, it's going to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is going to help your body with any sort of stress, physically, mentally, and it's going to help it basically. It's going to activate it and release different hormones that are going to affect your mood, energy, how you feel physically, um, and it's simply going to kind of shock your body. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll go a little bit more into that later. So number 4, mental health. Number 5, mental clarity and cognitive function. So again, this kind of goes along with the first one, or I guess, yeah, this is basically the first one, as I mentioned, because I did really focus on the mental health and the cognitive clarity, aka it can be some people's morning cup of coffee. It's going to help you really wake up, energize, activate any sort of like it's gonna put you in a good mood by activating, um, basically by releasing dopamine, decreasing cortisol, like I mentioned earlier. So next one, reducing inflammation. So this kind of goes along with the chronic pain um, category that I've kind of been highlighting a lot in terms of me personally. So alternating between hot and cold therapy is going to help reduce inflammation by promoting a rapid vasoconstriction and vasodilation. So vasodilation is when your blood vessels expand. Vasoconstriction is when your blood vessels constrict. So when you're alternating between the two of these, you're helping increase blood flow and circulation, which is going to kind of help. It's going to not only shock your body a little bit, but it's going to help your body feel good and also alleviate some of that pain. Um, I'll get to pain in 1 second. But the reason it's going to help with decreasing inflammation is because for example, say you worked out or you went for a run, or you just been sitting all day, kind of like I am right now, I guess. Your body's not getting a lot of circulation. So what you want to do is you want to get circulation. So a lot of things do boost circulation, walking, things along those lines, like normal kind of like I give you walking as an example because walking is something that we all do. It's going to help boost circulation, which is going to help with inflammation. But this is going to enhance that process by shocking your body and making things kind of go much more efficiently or quicker, um, because it's going to, like I said, dilate and then constrict. So that's basically compressing and decompressing, which helps with any sort of circulation or inflammation, muscle recovery. So if you're at the gym, this contrast therapy is going to be your best friend. Okay, so that was reducing inflammation. All right, last one I'm really going to go into. This is kind of a bonus one. This is for longevity. So contrast therapy is going to reduce systemic inflammation and oxidative stress. That's just a fancy way of saying it's going to increase the circulation, as I was just talking about, and oxygenation. That is simply, or oxidative stress is similar to oxygenation. So you're going to reoxygenate your body by providing your body with this kind of like this shock or this compression, as I was just kind of alluding to, and that's going to help decrease the oxidative stress. So it's not like oxygen is going to be held in certain parts of your body. It's going to be circulated and it's going to be used, and it's going to inadvertently, oxidative stress and inflammation are two key factors correlated to longevity or health and well-being. So hopefully that all makes sense. I know I kind of jumped through them kind of quick, but the two things that have helped me most are the reason that I started it, as I mentioned in my story. The reason I started it was for metabolic reasons. So I wanted to get into this really quick. So it can affect your metabolism if you do it consistently. Number one, it's going to help increase your metabolism because you're shocking your body, you're burning a ton of calories. It's similar to working out. Basically, when you're doing any sort of contrast therapy or cold therapy in general, or heat therapy as well, but cold therapy specifically, you're going to burn a lot of calories. I don't want to give you an exact number, but here's a range. You're going to burn from 300 to 800 calories. It can be a little bit more, but typically that's kind of the range in terms of calories. And obviously it depends on your metabolic rate, your it depends on the amount of calories depends on your metabolic rate, how long you're in there, and how frequently you're doing it. All these different things can have a factor in terms of how many calories you burn. Um, so yeah, that's a big reason as to why I started it. I wanted to lose weight because I've always, as I've talked to you guys about, I've always had a I've always put this pressure on myself in terms of making sure that my body physique looks good, feels good, because I used to compare myself to others a lot. So I've been kind of on this process, not only healing my metabolism, but healing my relationship with my body. Um, and contrast therapy has helped me. That's what I'm, here to tell you. That yes, it's helped me lose weight, manage my pain and all that, but it's also helped me manage my, overall relationship with understanding myself because I've been able to understand, oh, obviously why did I start doing this stuff? My metabolism is important to me because I want to make sure, I can be a control freak at times. So I like to control these different factors. And again, that's a different topic for a different episode because I'm something I'm working on. I think control is an illusion. If you guys you know you guys have probably seen some of that on my Instagram, but I do. I think it's an illusion that we have or that we think we have. Um, but in saying all that, the two predominant reasons, as I mentioned, metabolically, that's why I started contrast therapy, to lose weight, manage my metabolism, and also increase um, or decrease the pain that I was having. So I feel like I just threw a lot at you guys. But I want to now kind of wrap the episode up with a couple common questions. So, number one, people have asked me, how frequently do you do contrast therapy? So personally, I do contrast therapy a little bit less than I used to. I do it about 3, 4 times a week. I used to do it more. I used to do it like 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. I recognized that it was a little bit extreme and it wasn't like sustainable. Sure, if you can do it, if you have it in your backyard and you can do the sauna and the cold plunge in the morning or at night or whenever, suits you, go for it. Excuse me. I just wasn't able to do it as frequently, or I'm not able to do it as frequently. Um, and I say that, I know that I have done it at home a little bit, but a part of me has been trying to cut back because I was very extreme with it and I needed to kind of rebalance that relationship that I had with contrast therapy because I was doing it almost as a distraction and to like help myself eliminate pain. But I was, and at a certain point I was in a lot of pain, so I was doing it more frequently to manage that pain. I've learned, to manage the pain, accept the pain, um, and live with the pain. So this is just a tool that I use to help me manage a lot of those things. But I recognized that I was a little bit overboard with it, so I wanted to rebalance. So, in saying that, the amount of times I typically recommend is about 3 to 4 for beginners. Start with 3 times a week is what I'm saying. Um, not times per day. That'd be crazy. Just do it, 3, 4 times a week if you can, um, and start there. So another question I typically get is for a new beginner, how what temperature should I be doing it at? So if you're doing a cold bath or an ice bath and you're new to it, I wouldn't recommend jumping in at 32, 33 degrees. You know, if that's what you want to do, go for it. Be careful, obviously. You don't want to overdo it. Um, I heard this quote a while ago, everything in moderation, even moderation. So do what you please with that. But in saying all this, I want you to know, you know, you want to be careful, especially if you're doing like an ice bath. You want to be careful, or the sauna. You don't want to overdo anything. I mean, mainly with the ice bath, you don't want to give yourself hypothermia, and with the sauna, um, you don't want to overdo the sauna. You don't want to like pass out in the sauna or anything like that. So my advice, if you're a beginner, you're gonna start with a shower. If you have access to the cold bath or anything like that, start with like 50, 60 degrees, maybe, just start slow, start pulling it back. Um, it's hard for me to give you that advice because when I started, I started in like the 30s. I would take the temperature of it in my apartment and it'd be like, I try to get it to about 40 degrees, which 40 degrees is manageable. It's pretty dang cold if you're not used to cold. So yeah, start with the shower, and then if you have access, let's start with the temperature around 50, 60 degrees. Okay, next question. I wrote it down and I forget it. Give me 1 second. Oh, how soon will you feel the results? Instantly. After you do contrast therapy, if you're just doing it in the shower, you're gonna feel an effect. Obviously, the more consistent you are with anything, whether it's working out, tuning in on your sleep routine, or doing your homework, like the more consistent you are, the better the reward you're gonna get. So, you're gonna feel an effect immediately. It's kind of like it's a little bit of a shock to the body. It's kind of a quick way to shock the body at home in the morning. Um, this is kind of what I like to do after breakfast or something like that. Take a shower, clean myself up, and do a little cold and then hot and then cold. I typically like ending on cold for the metabolic reason. You'll burn a little bit of that brown adipose tissue fat, and that'll help. Just for me, it helps with managing your weight. But again, I try not to get too crazy about it. I don't do it every day. So I think those were all the questions that I had in terms of just common questions. Let me double check. Yeah, those are the predominant questions I have kind of created and it's kind of summed up and wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight in on my end in terms of what I've experienced. I can attest cryotherapy or keep saying cryo, it's sometimes not contrast. Contrast therapy has changed my life. It's mainly for pain management. So if you're experiencing a lot of pain, anything like that, physical pain, um, this combination between doing the hot and cold temperatures, it'll change the way that you feel, not just externally, like on like, for example, my shoulder, but it'll change the way you feel internally because of the way that, different neurotransmitters that are going to be activated and released and different hormones that'll be released. So if you guys have any more questions after this episode, please feel free to comment them below in the comments. I'm 100% happy to share my results in terms of what I've experienced and answer any questions that you guys have had or have. I'd be super interested and excited if you guys have never tried contrast therapy. Put it in the comments if you guys have tried it, or put it in the comments. Number one, if you've done it, let me know your opinion. And number two, if you plan on trying it, let me know what you think after you do it. And thank you. I appreciate you guys. If you guys are still here with me after episode 5, welcome to the DisClaymer family. Last thing I'll say, this is a disclaimer. This is not medical advice. I'm not your doctor. I'm just here to share my story, provide some tools that I've added to my toolkit, and share them with you so that you can add them to your toolkit. Thank you so much, guys. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.